what it is. This is your boy Daryl Edmund Oathbreaker Cole. I want to welcome you down to Wayvy Grayvy, the main show. With me today, honored to have one of a kind Chef Stephan. This guy has been in the kitchen since he was 15 years old, has worked in top tier Michelin star restaurants all around the world, and he is here today. So, my man, Chef, how are you?
Cheers, man. Nice to meet you, my friend.
Nice,
thanks
nice
for the invite, most importantly. So let's head that off, let's see what the questions coming up, because I'm pretty interested how that's going to work out today.
I know, right? All right, so, first things first, I've got a few guys who knew that I would be having you on the show, and they're all single guys. So they want to know what is the quickest, the easiest thing a guy can whip up for his date? Like, if you got any recommendations on what they can do.
What a tricky question to start off, I would call it. Kind of thing. I think it's a bit down to heritage, where the girl is coming from a little bit, what she likes, what she doesn't like. Obviously, I can call that down to my wife, being Chinese here. She loves food. I think if you want to get a girl, it's pretty good to go down, the road is like the stomach, can make people really fall in love with you. Mm-hmm. I think quality is all about it. If you ask me honestly, the easiest way is get something simple and easy. Don't overcomplicate things, and cook it from your own heart. Cook something that you're very comfortable with, where you have cooked before, kind of thing. It is. Don't think like, oh, you want to copy someone or something like that. And show them as simpler dishes, as more it shows the truth what you can do. On the other way, I think if you just have done it a couple of times before, it turns out better. That kind of way it is.
All right, so basically work with what you know, and
most importantly, kind of thing. It's the same thing as like, I'm not trying to impress my wife in the first period of time with Asian food. I came to Singapore 13 years ago. Little that I know about anything about Asian food. I thought I knew about it. I thought about it. I was like, Asian food, obviously, kind of thing. This, till you come to Asia and you realize you have zero clue, literally zero. Like, it is down to and that sounds really bad because I'm from Austria, so we look to Asia and it's like, okay, there's Japanese cuisine, but what is Japanese? I always say there's sushi, there's raw fish, whatever it is, but we don't know more than that. We don't know what is more behind that ideal of that idea.
Yeah, that is true.
And then Chinese cuisine is ridiculously. It's like, just to call it Chinese cuisine is already not fair to Chinese cuisine.
It's very vague, right?
So many different regions to where they're cooking, totally different. It's a big country. It's like Russia. If you're on one side of Russia, and it's hard for somebody to believe back in Europe that they actually have a border with China, kind of thing it is, but we wouldn't think of in the first place. So if you would eat in Russia to a closer Chinese place, it's more Chinese food. But if you come to Moscow, closer to Europe, whatever it is, that food looks totally different.
So you do have a point.
So I think it is, cook something you're familiar with, what your signature dish is gonna be, perfect one or two dishes and serve that to the lady you really like, if it comes up to that.
Perfect that dish, don't.
That's important,
I guess you don't have to go out of the way to impress them. Work with what you know.
You can work. A very good scrambled egg is a very good scrambled egg, but you serve me a very bad scrambled egg, I remember that too, that kind of thing it is. So it can be really the most humblest ingredient, but just learn how to cook it, All
right, it's the simple things that count. Perfect. I like that. Yeah. All right, and you are a chef, and back then, I'm not that old, but back then when we say chef, like, it's someone up there. But these days, with a lot of YouTube, and given COVID and all, there's so many self-proclaimed chefs out there, and with that going on, it seems to me that the title chef has been very much diluted. What's your take on this? That everyone can be a chef out there.
You can. I think you can. But the main thing is, like, it depends a little bit on how we define a chef. Number one. Secondly, is like, do I think I'm a chef or I'm a cook? Obviously, we're cooking. Put me into the kitchen. If I have to run a certain station, I'm a cook in there. Obviously, a chef just means you do it professionally. So I think calling yourself a chef just because you started a YouTube channel or something, especially after COVID, whatever it is, doesn't make you a chef in my point of view. You know what I mean, kind of thing it is, and it will take quite a while till you find your own style, and that really takes quite a while. Because you say I'm long in the kitchen. I grew up in a restaurant. My parents started a business when I was 9. So my experience is like going to the kitchen, being the dishwasher. That's number one. So my father was like, no way. And I mean, my father by that time obviously was 30 plus years old, starting his own business. It's like, no, he runs everything kind of thing. There's very tough guy, runs a kitchen by himself, small little restaurant, 40-seater kind of thing it is.
Okay.
But he needed help, so help is I wash the dishes. Further to that one, in his own kitchen, I started growing to a different stage where you make a bit of a salad. Like, think about European food. I mean, it's like there's no Asian station or whatever kind of things. There's a bit of a salad, and then you have to make some ice creams or something like that. There's a very basic kind of thing it is that you start learning there, but with more kind of convenient food. I would call it convenient food because being alone, he always needed to get his potatoes already being peeled kind of thing it is. There was certain thing he didn't do. But it was very pretty impressive to watch him just cooking dishes after dishes after dishes.
Okay.
And then it's just down that I'm in there and I realized, okay, I didn't like certain things, you like things. So you have to get to call you a chef. I'm not calling you just because you started an apprenticeship for 2 years or 3 years in a school, you come out, I'm not going to call you a chef. I'm calling you down to the fact, show me what you can after period. You started your own business or your own style of cooking, whatever it is, when you start realizing what it means to be a chef, because it just means you know how the business runs. There's calculations going on. And I mean, it's easy to buy a piece of lobster, which is an incredible piece of food. If you know how to cook that well, even better. But if you sell it under the price, you're not making sense. And I mean, kind of thing, there's a lot of things to, once I got up and say I call you a chef to kind of thing is, because even behind you, what not everybody can see here right now, there's a couple of guys cooking in there, and obviously I call them chef because they've learned, they have been to school, they have been studying. One of the ladies inside there, we sent her and say she was here for quite a while and said, you have to get out of here. And I mean, after a while we said, hey, get out of here. And I mean, because find something else, but you can't stay with me and my other chefs before for too long. Find your own style.
Okay.
Went to the States, came back kind of thing it is. And you can see how people evolve. You know what I mean, kind of thing it is. So to get to the point that you can call yourself a chef, I think takes a while. It's a lot of an experience you need, and I don't think you need to call yourself that before your age of 30. I don't even think so. Like, give yourself, I always say, like, you know, when you start your apprenticeship, and in my case, I started my apprenticeship when I was 15 for 3 years. Then I started traveling, working in different restaurants. Came to Singapore, I was 27. First time properly in charge of a kitchen kind of thing it is, but didn't know. I would say give 50% is a good chance, but I knew what I had to do. And it took me more years to get where I wanted to go. So from the age of 15 to 20, or depends when, even if you study here in Singapore is a bit later, from 20 to 30 is totally nothing else than learning experience. Once you hit the 30 to 40th kind of thing, that's my end stage, because I'm turning 40 this year. And I mean, it's like where you have the experience, you know what you want to do, you start getting creative. And from 40 onwards, the game is changing again. That kind of thing it is. So to answer your question, because I talk a lot.
The longer the better.
Being a chef because you have a YouTube channel, you're not a chef. Sorry to say that.
You heard it, yeah. I will believe what this man
the
says.
kind of thing is, I would not give you that title. You know what I mean? You can give yourself that title, but there's people out there that have worked hard of it to get that title. Exactly. You know what I mean? So I would give them the title if they have done that 10, 15 years. You know, you have the knowledge, you have the experience of what you did, and you showcased it. When you did that, I give you and give you a high five, give you a fist bump, and say, man, you're a chef, whoever you are. You know what I mean? Well done. Some people are faster, some are slower, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's your own pace you're running for, and that's the same thing. Same like in sport. You know what I mean? Like, some people take longer. I took quite a while, I think. You know what I mean? People say, oh, I was pretty young when I took my first job, and say, yeah. I was lucky because I got that job and I was allowed to I can't use the F word here.
Oh, you can, sure you can.
No, I got enough time to fuck up. And that's, I think, the most important thing. My dad gave it to me when I was young. I got it in different places. And I think you have to screw up to literally learn out of the screw-ups.
Yeah, I do.
And then you get smarter and you realize, oi, I made a mistake. And I learned something from my father. He always said, look, to screw up is not a problem. You screw up once is good, it's fine, you learn out of it, but you have to learn out of it. You screw up twice, you better realize why you screwed up twice, because the third time is not
don't make
not
the same
accessible.
mistakes.
It's not okay. Don't make the same mistakes in short. So I think from that point of view, it's just like learn, screw up, and move on. Kind of thing it is. So it's always a thing. Don't copy people or something like that. There's no point. It's good to get yourself some books, and even in the background you see a shitload of books up there. So it's kind of things. But it's interesting to get inspirations or something like that. But you have to find your own style. Once you find your own style, I give you the title of chef.
All right. So a lot of YouTubers out there, self-proclaimed chefs and shit. But you need to go through the grind. It makes sense. You can't just get that title because you made 10 dishes on YouTube and you show people how to cook it. So the man itself here has told you how it's done, so you heard it over here. And now moving on to the first song for the show. It is by Californian band Paper House, who, if you check these guys out, they are along the lines of psychedelic rock. So we're gonna kick off this session with a very colorful tune by the title of Helicopter from Paper House. Peace.
I saw the world and it was
Boom, Helicopters by Paper House. Give those guys a follow. Much love to them. So there's a lot of chef movies out there like Burnt, where they show how life is in a Michelin star restaurant, how lightning
was pretty interestingly done, and I mean it was not bad off the kind of thing it is. It was pretty interesting.
Okay,
it was good.
Okay, perfect. And so I assume that's how it would work in a Michelin star restaurant. And how do you get used to that pace? And are there any mental tricks that you use to help yourself get through the pressure and the stress?
I think mental trick is a tricky one. In general, if you're ever gonna go for that, you know what I mean, or anybody out there wanna go for that, I think first thing is very straightforward. Put your head down and do the work, whatever you ask for. I think that's very straightforward, because whenever you arrive in a really high-end kitchen, you are at the lowest stage. You have to prove to other people you're willing to put up the game. It's like playing soccer or any other team sports, you know what I mean, kind of thing it is. So if you're not willingly happy and showing them to support, it's not going to work out. I think it's changed a lot over the period of time. So when you put really movie names out there, because I think Burn showed a little bit what happened in the kitchen, you know what I mean. And I'm not sure what the actor was called, but Mr. Handsome in there, and I remember pretend to being very stressed and whatever kind of thing it is. I think that one, I'm not sure it exists that much anymore. Things changed. I think that the environment at the kitchen changed. The first kitchen I have been in there when I was 15 was the worst kitchen I've ever worked with, and as older I got, that easier I got, to be honestly, because laws changed, things changed. When I was 15, my head chef was a choleric alcoholic. So literally he loved screaming. Funny part of it is he loved screaming. He drank alcohol quite a bit, even in the morning, but he stuttered. And he was a stutter kind of thing it is. So it's not like we knew as more angry he got, as more his stutter got crazy, and I mean, so as worse it got, you realize, okay, you're not gonna get close to this gentleman. I mean, thing it is, and it could go to kind of stations like he got so angry, and I remember something went so wrong there was like the old days between kitchen hates front of house hates kitchen kind of thing it is. And I mean, I think these things changed quite massively nowadays, because people really start bonding far more. But I remember we had that incident in the kitchen when I was an apprentice, and he was so angry, and because he had that stutter and he couldn't control it, and he drank as well kind of thing it is, and he actually just wanted to scream at someone, you know what I mean, the F word. He was 30 seconds into that, like, but he couldn't get it out.
Wow.
Till he changed the word to "I hate you," that kind of thing it is. I mean, it was hardcore, and we realized, okay. I worked with him for 2.5 years till he literally injured one of the apprentices, and he was literally got fired. So it was a bad thing. But he also taught me the tough game kind of thing it is, where it's like, you know what I mean, if you're a minute late, and by that time we all in the hotel, we had a punch card, so if you're a minute late, he would tell you, go F off kind of thing it is. You belong into the pastry, you don't belong into my kitchen. And for him was pastry non-existing. For him was pastry like, that's not cooking, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever it is, go down there. So obviously, if you got just a minute late, you have not seen anything else that day, and he would not talk to you, and then before you left, he would pull you down and say, tomorrow you're going to be 20 minutes earlier, that kind of thing it is. Where it doesn't matter if it was your fault because it was snowing or bad weather, that kind of thing. So you had to find a way. So it was a tough kind of environment for the first 3 years, but it was an interesting one. But you cannot learn, especially if you're young, what's the mental game on that one. That's why I'd rather say, tuck it down, go for it. But I think you have to get through it. You know what I mean? Life is not a sugary cake.
It's
that
like
is
an
beautiful
initiation.
kind of
If
thing.
you want to make it that, it's that process you need to go through. It's like
if you can manage, yeah, kind of thing. You can manage. If not, rather get out. I would call it. You know what I mean? But it depends a bit on the environment. So I think the environment nowadays is not so bad anymore, and I think people, especially if it's a good business, they're more family orientated. Even they are big. You know what I mean? It's especially like here in a restaurant, or even I've worked in other places. you know, when there's stuff meal, when people go and eat, it's not called stuff.
meal.
It's not called stuff meal anymore. Most people change the word to family meal. It
yeah,
changes the
stuff
whole
meal back when I
idea,
was
kind of thing.
working.
Yeah. So nowadays it's more like a family meal. It's sitting down together. We eat together. We are one team, one dream, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So from that point of view, it's like I think it got a bit easier, but I would not. It really depends on the environment. To give you a really trick, I think is if you want it, get it and deal with whatever the problem it is.
That is true. I guess if you really want something, then just deal with it. But so what I'm trying to guess is from here is that the hard, shouting, stressful pace period will be when you first start, and then just put your head down, do what you're supposed to do.
It depends a bit. Like I had the luck to work at certain places before, as stage or in a longer period. Some of the places they realized that earlier, so it become really that family where you feel so comfortable in it. And then there's the other one that's really army driven, and there's no way around it. It's the same in the army. You don't screw your officer on top of you. He will be he has a longer arm than you. He will come after you. So I think from that point of view, you really have to get through it. But I will not if you can't deal with it, I don't recommend you to stay in there. It's not all the kitchens are like that. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So it depends. Some people need the drill. You really need the drill. Go for it. You know what I mean. You need to get pushed a lot. But some people cannot take it, and then they are not going to be creative, or they are not even being able to take the simple tasks.
All right.
So I think it is not saying just give up, because there's a bit of a harsh way in between. You know what I mean? Firstly, go for it as long as you can, but if you after 2 or 3 months, if you say, "Man, that's not my thing, that's not me," you know what I mean, kind of thing. I think it's the same when you learn an instrument. If you start learning a sport or something like that, if you realize after 2-3 months you're not good in it, or you can't deal with it,
that's true. You gotta move on.
Why continue on that one? You know, find a better environment or find a different sport from it and go from there.
Fair enough, understandable.
That kind of thing it is.
All right. And how about any mental tricks that you had personally to help you cope with the fast pace that is the kitchen?
I'm not a good example. The thing is, for me, very straightforward. It's like I grew up in Austria, so for Austrians, drinking beer, for example, is a big thing. We start with 15, 16 years old. You know what I mean? Our law says you're allowed to drink from 16. But the thing is,
fine.
in Austria is the same thing. You know what I mean? In Austria, it was the usual kind of treatment. After busy nights and you're crazy and oh, what the heck? You know what I mean? The head chef, if you had a good head chef, you say, come on. You know what I mean? You got a good smack on your shoulder, and it's like, now let's have a beer together, chit-chat, talk about what is right or wrong. And the main thing is you need to find somebody who's like a mentor in the end of this way, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying start drinking and make it easy, that's my own thing. But the thing is, in our period was just, we went down into the pub, had a beer, and we talked it out. I think if you keep things to yourself, not good idea.
Don't keep things to yourself. Always talk. To yourself. Communication is the key.
Communication is key, and no matter if you don't like somebody in your environment in the kitchen, you know what I mean, it's better talk it out. You know what I mean, kind of thing it is. And if you can't get along, same straight. You know what I mean, get out. That kind of thing it is. So you need to find the right environment.
I think life skills as well, man. We can take from the kitchen. Communication is key. You don't like something,
Definitely.
bring it up, talk to them. All right, it's perfect. And there'll be a lot of very cliche questions I'm going to ask you, because not many people have a chance to tap into the mind of a chef such as you. So It's going to be a difficult one, I think. What is the most underrated cuisine of all time to you? Like, what do you think?
I think I said it before we went live, and so that's going to be the toughest question of all. I mean, the most underrated cuisine doesn't even exist yet. I think that's a problem. I think the hardest problem to understand is that we don't even understand most of the cuisines yet. I think the interesting thing is the last 20 years open up a lot of things, especially social media. And I mean, kind of thing is, I'm pretty sure you can open your Instagram, if you want to search for food, you see so much photos of anything, whatever it is, and no matter if you understand what it is, or yes or no, I mean, no matter what, I think the toughest one is, I mentioned before I came to Asia, and I thought I know what's Asian food. Till I've been in Asia, and then I realized I didn't know at all. So I think the underrated thing is, it's those people that have their mindset and they don't open up their mind at all. I think if I would have given an easy answer, I would have said Chinese cuisine. I think Chinese is the most underrated of all because it's so huge. It's ridiculously big. And I mean, it's almost an insult to some Chinese to call it Chinese because it could be from Sichuan, where it's very spicy. It could be from Shanghai, where it's totally Shanghainese kind of cuisine, and they're different in certain ways. And then you go to Hainan or kind of thing, and the cuisine changes again. I think I imagine almost like imagine somebody who lives in Hainan in China. And then imagine somebody who lives in Shanghai or one in Sichuan and the border to wherever, I don't even know the place where kind of thing it is, it might be somewhere to Russia. They all think they're cooking Chinese, but it's not, you know what I mean? It's their own region. Yes. So I think as big as a country, as harder to understand the cuisine of it, I would call it. So I'm an Austrian. Is Austrian food hard to understand? I don't think so. It's very good quality products, that's the main thing it is. And then there's a lot of go-karts, easygoing food. We are not into much fine dining, if you take it the main population kind of thing it is, but I don't even think Chinese would be the same way, you know what I mean? So to answer that, what's the most underrated cuisine is the one that you don't know.
Yeah, but that's true because most of the time when you talk about, hey, let's go get Chinese food, it's always fried rice, kung pao chicken,
I don't know,
noodles. That's always. But then, like what I said, they have the skewers. All the skewers. They have the meat with the bun. So there's so many things. But yeah, it's true what you said. I guess.
I don't know. For me, it's like because I'm living in a Chinese country in Singapore. Let's call it main majority here is Chinese in general. Yes. So when I reached here, my mindset was, what is Chinese cuisine? And in Austria, Chinese cuisine is. It's going to be the fun thing. You enter a Chinese place where your thing is Chinese, and then you realize only after you have traveled a little bit, they're not even Chinese. They're from Vietnam.
Holy shit.
They're Vietnamese people selling Chinese food. So you're like, okay, I've eaten Vietnamese because I've been in Vietnam before, I've been in China before, and it's like, how did it turn out? But you would have never asked the question if you never have traveled. So the interesting thing is, only after I travel, I ask them, how does it work out that you Vietnamese start opening Chinese and not Vietnamese? And they're like, easy to sell. You know what I mean? But it's like taking the selling point, making a joke on the white guys back home. You know what I mean? Kind of thing it is. But you cannot even think that far because I would have never known the difference. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing when I came to Singapore. It's like if people ask me, how do you know if somebody's French, Italian, or he's from Switzerland, whatever it is? And I say, firstly, the way the accent they're talking about, I get them quiet. A little bit of the looks, you get them too. And then me being married to a Chinese, my wife say she don't get the difference. I say I know they all look white to you, kind of thing it is. I could do the same thing to Asia, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I'm like, it took me a while to understand how a Japanese looks, how a Chinese looks. You know what I mean? And Chinese is a bit tricky because it's such a culture. And the same for Vietnamese. But that gets you more interested about the whole idea of it, because you start getting more open-minded, and that's what I started even traveling a bit in Asia, South Asian kind of. It's like it is so obvious after you realizing it. You know what I mean? Even the cuisine's changing, kind of thing. And I would love even to travel more to get more into my mind here. But I think that's the tricky part. You know what I mean? It's literally knowledge of understanding between our heritage. We're all human beings, but we're pretty different the way we grew up, kind of thing it is. And our mindset is different, and the whole way you even grew up with is some different. So cuisine wise, I think it's going to be interesting one day. I'm not even sure we ever find we're in a way of having this kind of very, everybody knows that kind of cuisine. There's no name to it, you know what I mean, kind of thing. It could be like Western Asian, some of this middle way, but they're all losing their track of their originality a little bit.
There's a lot of fusion going on.
That kind of thing it is, you know what I mean? And I'm like, look, if I go to Chinatown here in Singapore, and I have my favorite place in Chinatown, you know what I mean? But there's so many dishes, and they're so Chinese, because obviously they're shouting like crazy left and right, and there's like this authenticity kind of thing that I'm like, I wouldn't even be sure it's the same in China, but this gets me as close as I think Chinese cuisine is.
Actually, it's very true, because before I used to work on board ships, so there's Indian food over here, like biryani and prata, so I've had that my whole life. And then when I used to go on board ships that were all Indian crew, I used to have their biryani. It's totally different.
Yeah, I'm
so
pretty sure on that one.
This is what biryani is in India.
Yeah.
Oh, so like, what the hell have I been eating over here?
Yeah.
Now then it comes back to me.
That
Like,
kind of thing it is. I think that's the mindset you really have. In order, you have to eat the real deal once, you know what I mean, to understand. And then it's like, compare it with a product. And let's take the easiest one that everybody knows, the tomato.
mm-hmm.
My question to you, how many varieties of tomatoes do exist on planet Earth?
It's true.
Now, how many are there? That's a serious question right now. How
I
much
know
you
like
guess?
a regular one, I know cherry tomatoes. That's all I
Yeah,
know.
we're heading to about 3,000 different ones.
Holy shit!
There's about 3,000 difference in any color you can even imagine.
Wow.
In anything from size to whatever it is, but there's about 3,000 varieties of tomatoes
Wow.
globally.
Holy shit!
Obviously, they should all taste like a proper tomato.
Yeah, they should. As they should.
But even if the sad thing is, because of that mass globalization we have nowadays, and I mean, people is all for money, obviously, kind of thing. So you make this massive field of tomatoes, put a glass house on top of it, you can grow like hell. And nowadays we're all eating tomatoes in Singapore. They're maybe from Spain, or they could be. I mean, if somebody in China would start to have to say, "Oh, we could do that cheaper," they might gonna do that. Right? So it's like the same thing. I'm pretty sure that most people right now would not know how a proper tomato tastes. A real good tomato. The way that my mindset is up there when I had a tomato from a field that was properly grown as a child. Like, let's go really back to child memories. Like almost like a strawberry. You know what I mean? A strawberry is another one. It's a strawberry. And strawberries is crazy. The States make so much strawberries, and not a Korean, but a Korean does better. If you have ever eaten a proper taste of a strawberry, you will never buy anything that Singapore supermarket would be. I mean, kind of thing.
The luxury of doing that. But I've heard stories, like people having the tomatoes from the field or the strawberries, and they say it's different.
And I'm pretty sure it's the opposite when we look at an Asian ingredient. I mean, that I would not have that mindset. I'm not have that childhood memory. I don't have it because I didn't grow up in Asia. But then maybe I'm talking to an auntie at a hawker center, and it's like, tastes okay, but last time, when it was really so tasty because that vegetable was just better produced.
Yes,
that's the kind of thing it is. So I think that's the same with the cuisine. If we lose the heritage that we had once, and I mean all those old recipes or the way of people just cooked, it's all for nothing one day. And I mean then that's when welcome McD, and I mean, and welcome globalization with the basic kind of food, and I mean then it gets a bit sad.
I mean, I love how this is panning out. I mean, we trail off to much more things that people have never talked about. I mean, here we are talking about most underrated cuisine, and then suddenly there is this realization that other tomatoes we're eating today actually the legit kind of tomatoes. That shit, man.
Put it in a plastic tub, put Heinz on the name on it, and then that's where people believe it comes from. And that's still a better product than the cheaper version you could get, actually. I mean, something like that.
Okay, thanks. I mean, Chinese food, guys. So, I mean, even until today, I never had much thought to it. I mean, whenever certain words you visualize. So, whenever you see Chinese food, in my mind, it's fried rice, sweet and sour pork. But then I realized, there are the meat, the skewers from another province in China, and then you have the meat and the buns, and also then again, Chinese itself is very big.
If you would ask an Austrian what's the most famous Chinese dish on the planet, and he has never left Austria, he would say a treasure.
What the hell is that?
It's a treasure. Is a duck dish with some rice underneath and some, I think it's peanuts or pineapple. I can't remember. There's beans. I guarantee you ask an Austrian, have you ever eaten Chinese? Have you ate 8 treasures? They say, yeah, sure. It's the most famous dish that exists.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing is. And then comes Peking duck, but there was never been a Peking duck, because the Peking duck we're gonna get in Austria that's far off.
Okay, fair enough.
That kind of thing it is.
All right. And moving closer to home for me,
sure.
At least. I mean, I fight, so I haven't fought in a while. But I love to eat. So whenever it comes to weight cuts, it's very tough, because then, for me, usually food is very close to being tasteless, because you need to cut out all the oil, all the good tasting shit. So you want to feed your body accordingly what he's asking for, but not for flavor, obviously. Exactly. So as since I have the opportunity, are there any hacks, any tips, any tricks I can use to make that chicken breast and broccoli taste better? Or do I just have to fuck it and not have any taste?
I think in your way, because you're proper athlete, and I mean, there's not much choice you have, honestly, because anything that's fat and oil related is totally off your your list, I guess. But that makes it tasty. Obviously, salt is the one that is such a great thing, but I think also most people tend not to have that.
Sooner or later, we gotta cut out the salt as well.
I mean, there's certain ways you can find around salt, but that's like certain seaweeds or something like that. I think if it comes to me, and that's the last 2 years where I'm looking quite closely in it, and because of it gets so much more affordable nowadays to understand your own body. I made a DNA test. I did it already twice. I did it twice. I just did recently one, and did one 2 years ago, to try and understand what my body is asking for or not, even if you want to work out or not. And I was told very easily, look, your body is so happy by fasting. Like, my thing is literally, I don't eat for 16 hours, and then I have a window of 8 hours, what I literally customized down to the operation hours of my kitchen, kind of thing it is, and then I go for it. But I would not be the one that takes out the oil, the butter, or whatever kind of thing is. I don't. Like, I do literally count my calories most of the time, but you need to be happy to you know what I mean? If life gets a bit dull with all the flavors, you can do it for a few days, I guess, or for weeks, especially if you pretty sure before a fight you're very, very strict with yourself, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes.
I'm pretty sure that there's no salt existing or something like that, maybe.
About
or not.
a week before the fight, no more salt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one. That's kind of, it is a tough one. And I mean, so I guess for that one, there's no way. But I think nowadays the easy one is you can easily find out. Like DNA tests, they cost almost nothing. There's like $250, and it gives you a bit of an idea what your body needs or don't. And then you can work around a bit of a diet of it. I mean, kind of thing. Stay away from. I would tell people just stay away from junk food in general. You know what I mean? Everything else, rather use proper butter than using margarine, because it's just purely fats, like margarine kind of thing it is. But don't get unhappy. You know, if you're unhappy, it doesn't make sense. So I think rather add a bit of a butter, make you healthy kind of thing this, but find out what's the right thing for you to eat, and the rest is down to. I'd rather eat tons of berries and green vegetables, whatever it is, that are properly seasoned and there's a bit of oil or butter to it, but that's still healthy food to put intake. You just make that more volume to it. And then for me, I have to stay away from carbs. It's not the best part for me. That's what I was told, kind of thing. So it makes it a bit tricky when I like to drink a beer from time to time. But making healthy food and make it delicious, if you find that out in a very good way, you make a good business. I can tell you that. Like I know a few people that try to tend, and I mean, but you need to add still a little. It cannot be 100% perfectly healthy and tasty. I think that is impossible, kind of thing it is. But yeah, rather add a bit of more butter and make sure you don't drink some Cokes and sugar water, that kind of thing it is. Like, sugar is not your best friend.
That's exactly. So I mean, certain things that you can't work around it, I guess. But I like the fact that we circled around and the DNA test. I mean, if you are really someone who is really a health buff, and you really want to stay on point with your health, go do that DNA check. I guess it's true what it says. Then you know what you can, what you can't eat, and you can revolve your diet around there, and then you don't have to starve yourself with very bland tasting food. So
bland food don't make you happy, kind of thing. There's so many DNA tests online nowadays where you don't have to do much. They send you all the samples. You just did it. 2-3 weeks later, you get a massive report of your own body. I think that's really interesting, and they even call you for consultation, kind of thing it is. So I think that is something that I even my wife was like, I don't want to care, and I mean, kind of things. I bought it for her and said, you do that, and then she's like, she saw the result. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like, see, because you didn't know, you realized why you're sometimes bloated or something is wrong, and I mean, kind of thing it is. And my wife is pretty skinny and has the highest metabolism you can ever meet, and I mean, kind of thing it is. So
I think I should do that, man.
But it's an interesting way, I think, to see what your body likes and doesn't like.
Fair enough. I think.
And if you don't care afterwards, that's your problem. Then
yeah, but it's a good way. It's your own body. You should get to know it.
Yeah, I think it's nowadays this kind of thing, and I mean, it's really become affordable. And on the other side, it is figure out really. You know, I mean, the science part tells you a lot of things now. They don't sell you crap. You know, I mean, they don't. They give you facts, and then they tell you why or what's not. And I'm pretty sure you have seen a lot of health, whatever it is, and people like telling you online, you know what I mean, there's different types of people, you have different kind of needs, and in general they always put it into 3, where like with the DNA they did it, what I say, into 4 different types of diet ideas, with low carb or the Mediterranean, or you need a lot of carbs, whatever it is. If you need a lot of carbs but you don't eat carbs,
that one sounds nice, or a lot of carbs. I would like that.
Yeah, I like that too, but unfortunately I'm the no carb guy, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
I would assume that would be me, but you know, then moving on.
Sure.
Song number 2 is by my man Hope, with, you know, I will kick in some chill beats for you guys with his song entitled The Touch. Check it out. Peace.
Hey, give me some of that 180p.
The Touch by Hook. Love that shit. So chef, you know, there is this thing that I understand from other chefs that I know. They have this don't take your work home mentality. So I mean, for yourself, you know, when you on your off days, you know, like how is it like for you on an off day? Do you also, because you're a chef, so at home, are you the one that cooks all the meals? Do you cook those extravagant dishes, or you know, how is it like for an off day on your side? Like what happens?
Well, the thing is, there's only 2 ways it gonna happen. Like for me, I close the restaurant Sunday, Mondays. So I always believe that we need to have that work-life balance kind of thing. That's for everyone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I like that.
But we open only for dinner except of one day, so it's pretty okay. So we can all get a bit of a life. For me, going home, cooking on a Sunday is possible because literally I would wake up in the morning, make a breakfast for the kids, that kind of thing it is. I might have a lunch, what I can, but I do not really bring home ingredients or much food, very seldom. So for me it's rather open the fridge, figure out what's there, if there's something good enough, make something. If not, I love to eat out as everybody else. So for me it's like the opportunity on a Sunday or Monday is for me. Sunday is rather go out with family, so it's kids, wife, and then Monday I can just have literally my dinner date with my loved one. So kind of things with my wife. Then we can go for some restaurants. Unfortunately, a lot of restaurants also close on Monday night, the same way I do. Kind of
really?
thing. Yeah, they actually do. To a certain extent of the places I would like to go. But taking the thoughts home, I think it depends a little bit on where you are in your life and what stage. I think once you're a business owner, you never really switch off fully. Like for that, you really need to get out of your business. You need to leave the country. You need to go to see the beach. You need to see in a hotel, whatever it is. And then it takes you 2-3 days after you throw away the phone and say, okay, now is that 1 week that I really don't care that much. That kind of thing is. But you will check your emails every day. From then it's okay. Cooking is not, sounds weird, not like a full lifestyle kind of thing is, but you love cooking. You know what I mean? I never think of not cooking, that kind of thing is.
Okay.
So even if it's a Sunday and I take my bike and I say, I just need a quick round and that kind of thing it is. And sometimes you think about anything in life and then your mind changes back to cooking. And I'm like, why have not thought about that one? You know what I mean? Because it just came to mind. And I was like, you might end up on a ride or on a walk, whatever it is, to create a dish that you say, I want to go back to the kitchen and try that out. That is still the nicest thing to think of. The only thing is if it becomes about numbers, figures, that kind of thing is because you are literally the business owner, you know, thing it is, and say, what's the next goal? What's the next achievement? What do you want to go for? Do you want to open a new business? Do you don't want? That kind of thing it is. I think that's something that you try to get home and you're happy you have somebody at home that you can talk to. Once again, the same thing like before, you don't keep things inside. You know what I mean? If you talk to your friend or talk to whoever is at home kind of thing it is, I would say. But you need to sometimes talk it out because sometimes you have not so good ideas and somebody will just tell you why it is not so, that kind of thing is, and you have not thought about the product, that side of it. And on the other side, somebody will just say, that's a really good idea and will give you that kind of support. And you say, yeah, I'm going to pursue that further. Till you might try it out and you think, nah, what did I think about it in the first place kind of thing it is. But it doesn't matter. So don't take life too serious. You know what I mean? Especially when you go home. Spend the time with the people you love, your family, your friends, no matter who it is.
Very important.
I think that's very important. So I think especially in the generation that we are nowadays, and I see myself too often the same. You know what I mean? When I'm at home and I'm on my phone instead literally talking to my kids, that kind of thing it is. And then I do need my wife to sometimes just say, take away the phone and play with the kids and that kind of thing it is. And I'm like, yeah, totally. And I mean, you're totally right and that kind of thing it is. Then obviously nowadays you have to get the kids off the phones also, the kind of thing it is. And it's like, look, let's try to have that at least 1 day or 2 days a week that we call it like really family. Have a good meal at home. So if I cook, the only thing at home they have to be all careful about it is when I put the food on the table, I want them to be at the table. I'm very picky when it comes to temperature at home, that kind of things, or in temperature in general. So the thing is, if I cook something and you're not going to show up for 15 minutes, I will be very angry and I will tell you, and I mean, I'm not going to cook for you anymore. Because I did the effort to go in the kitchen, find something, cook something, and then I'm going to do it for you, so we share that together. So if you're not going to show me the same respect in that way, I'm not going to be your best friend or pal at home. It could be my son, my wife, doesn't matter, kind of thing.
My mom does the same. You know,
same, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, you need that drill and just like, go get it going, you know what I mean? Kind of thing it is. So I think a meal can be the best thing you can ever have because you have food on the table, you can have just a good talk with each other. And I think it's always, you can have the best meal in your life, no matter what it is. You can have the biryani, whatever you have in mind, kind of right is. But the best meal in life, if you don't have a good company, it's not going to be a good food. It's not going to be great. You know what I mean? So the company is counting in the same way everything else it is, a bit your environment in general. But the thing is, food good, company good, great time.
It's the best equation to get a great
That
time.
kind of thing it is. Yeah.
Alright, perfect. And you know, you are a well-traveled man. You've been around.
Did a bit.
You've been around, and you know you've had a lot of experiences and a lot of adventures here and there. So I mean, what's the most eye-opening experience that you can share with us that you've come across and made you go like, wow?
Well, the thing is that when I came to Singapore, and it was literally my second time being Asia. I did once Shanghai before I came to Singapore, but only for like 2 weeks. And I was here in Singapore for a year, and I have not seen much. So for me, it was like 1 year. I was 26 by the time, 26, 27. So a year of Singapore. And Singapore is a massive hub. So it's not like Asia kind of thing it is. So we have a lot of influences from around the regions. And I realized after a year, I want to travel. I want to see anything. I've never been in Malaysia by that time. You know, I didn't even make it over the border to JB nor to KL, no matter what. So I was like, okay, a year kind of things. I need to do something. Unfortunately, I was packed up with work, so it didn't work out. So the thing is, after 2 years, I gave a pretty big ultimatum to my boss and said, look, I need at least a month. Get me a month out of that business. And they didn't really agree with it. So I said, okay, I'd rather lose that job, resign from it, figure it out, and I want to travel. And I started traveling Southeast Asia, so I did Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, that main region here, before I went then back to Europe and traveled a bit in Europe, the main central countries. But the thing is, when we went that region, like I've been Thailand before a little bit, it was okay, you know what I mean, kind of thing. This is such a beautiful country to go, food-wise, beautiful people. But then we went into Laos, and Laos was one of those countries that was really lower developed than the region of the countries. The friendliness of people was amazing. It was even a top notch to anything else kind of thing, is because they didn't have much, they were very friendly, but I've never seen grass as green. I've seen it in Laos. And I was like, you know, I'm coming from a country where it's like in Austria we have forests and greeneries, whatever. I was like, we have green grass. No, we didn't. So literally Laos was like amazing, and they have this beautiful scenery kind of thing it is, and I open up like, you have to really be more open-minded, and I mean, and then from Laos we went into Vietnam, and Vietnam was like food-wise, I'm like, when you went to the food markets, freshest food on a plate, it is ridiculously, I was like, where does that come from, you know, kind of thing it is, you chit-chat, and I didn't even care, like there's obviously this influence of that French kind of thing it is, and I mean, whatever it is, I'm not sure that really butchered, but the quality on the market in Vietnam was for me like, I didn't want to leave Vietnam. Wow. I mean, I was really like freshest greens, freshest products, everything it is, and I was like, you don't need to be in the biggest city in the world, no matter what kind of thing it is. It's the countryside, and they showed it off, and we were far off. It was like the region of Hue kind of thing. It's like central Vietnam kind of thing. It's not small populated. There's still quite a few people there, but those markets, I was like, get me more into that, I mean, kind of thing it is. They really can, and it was so quickly cooked, very fresh and cheap, where you're like, how can they afford it? I mean, kind of things. I was willing to pay more, obviously, kind of thing it is, where I think that was a really big one. And I mean, that whole travel in Asia kind of thing, that's just like, you're trying to respect more what they're doing there, but you have to get really to the source to understand a bit. Even I might have not been at the best place of the best place, and I mean, but it was like, wow, you know what I mean, kind of thing it is. So that's why I think Singapore is such an amazing place, and I mean, we have so much culture, so much cuisines. We have more cuisine than culture in general, kind of thing. As well, the cuisines is, show me another country, you know what I mean, or another city next to Singapore. I have to put up Tokyo, I have to put New York or something like that, where you have that variety of so much different foods.
There's a lot of variety over here.
So value, you know what I mean, such a value, because the hawker centers here, I always said last time, you know what I mean, I wish the hawker center get paid a bit more, you know what I mean, because I'd rather ask them to get better products, whatever kind of thing it is, and we stop buying Brazilian chickens and all this kind of thing it is, because I'm a bit worried about that one. but it is still really, really impressive what's the variety of food in Singapore. And I mean, I think that's an eye opener in general. Kind of thing is, I have a problem to leave Singapore. I mean, it's like I started here and I came 2 years. That's gonna be. I want to go to Japan. Gonna go somewhere. I'm here 13 years right now, and I have a problem to even think of leaving here.
Wow.
Because it's such a great place.
All
It's
right.
such a great hub. You have been welcomed at all times, and yet a place where it doesn't matter what race you are. That's an impressive thing. And I mean, like, obviously there's always some black sheep
There's
left
always
and dead.
that,
There are
yes,
always
yes,
that kind of
yes.
things. But we have the same thing in a small country like Austria right now. You know what I mean, where we don't have that diversity, and because Singapore has this diversity, it opens up so many options. You know, kind of thing. And then people are like, you do have different cravings in Singapore. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And even if I would go home to Austria for a week, 2 or 3, I would think, what's the first thing I'm gonna eat when I come back home to Singapore?
Wow.
I mean, because you're gonna miss that thing that we don't have over there. And it
something
is still more authentic here than anywhere else, I guess.
Right. I mean, yes, I do agree that there is the variety over here, you know, and it is very accessible as well.
Massively, yeah.
Very accessible, and all right, I get you, but I did not know about the grass in Laos being so really good. I would imagine it to be really good in Austria, because you know, given the weather and all. But I might get.
I thought we are number one grass leader. I mean, even that actually it belongs to Holland, I guess, you know, because they produce better stuff. But no, it's massive. I think it's just the way the sun comes in or whatever kind of thing. It was something I really, you know, when you're on your bicycle or bike, whatever kind of thing, I stopped it. I'm like, I have to literally look at grass.
Wow.
I mean, it was weird.
Right. I
Very
mean,
impressive.
hey, who knows? Who knew that one day grass could just take your attention away?
Yeah, the simplest things nowadays. You know what I mean, kind of
The
thing.
simple
it
thing
is.
that counts. Well, perfect. And the next song we're bringing up is by personal friend, Mr. Don A.A. Ron, featuring Cherie Slayn with his original entitled Distance. So, some easy listening over here. Check it out. Peace.
1,000 hours make the day. I wish that you were here. You just feel so far away, even though you're near. And I just wanna see you. I can take my time. If I'm gonna stay right here, I'm gonna lose my mind. I can't stand the distance, I can't stand the time. And you're all I'm missing, hanging on a line. I can't stand the distance, waiting all the time. 'Cause you're all I'm missing, just stay on the line.
There's nothing I won't do to feel you close to me. Oh girl, you know you're all I want and all I wanna see. What do you say? What do you say? What do you say tonight? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say tonight?
I miss the feeling of my body on your body, and I miss the days we touch each other like nobody. And I'm waiting for time to pass, waiting for us to last. I'ma be waiting on you to hold me now. No, I'll love no one but you. No, I'll never find someone new. So we gotta stick together, we are gonna brave the weather. We are gonna see this. I can't stand the distance, I can't stand the time. And you're all I'm missing, hanging on a line. I can't stand the distance, waiting all the time. 'Cause you're all I'm missing, just stay on the line. There's nothing I won't do to feel you close to me. Oh boy, there's nothing I won't do, 'cause baby you're all I need.
Don A.A. Ron with Cherie Slayn. Hope you like Distance. And throughout your travels, I understand there's been a period where you have brushed with Chef Heston Blumenthal from UK. He's the man that when you say molecular gastronomy, name comes up. And someone like me, when you say molecular gastronomy, I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to mean. So I mean, if you could you just break it down for us on what this sub-discipline molecular gastronomy actually is?
Okay. Let's start with the basics. Let's start with the basics.
I'm getting a pen and paper. I'll start taking notes.
Okay, thanks. It's like, let's put it down to Heston himself. Met the gentleman only once. Only did a stage at the UK at this famous fat duck restaurant. When you do a stage, you go down there, do the thing for free. So literally you're there for 4 or 5 weeks, that kind of thing, so you can do it longer. So then you literally get an insight into the business. They literally show you all ideas. Putting the word molecular next to him, he was one of the, I would call him the mad science, or he's the science guy behind it, because that's what he sold online, on TV, whatever it is. There was a couple of chefs before him. I think the biggest name for that is Ferran Adrià from Spain. He was number one of it, and there was people before him. I personally, and a lot of people would agree with that one, I'm pretty sure, in a chef world, we don't like the word molecular cuisine, because it's a very weird thing. Because there was this history kind of thing. So before molecular cuisine, there was the nouvelle cuisine, the new cuisine, where literally was, let's give it to the French in this case, because they developed the new way of sauces and everything, where they are the number one on it. And then it needed a new term. So the term molecular cuisine came out by the media, because they did not know how to call it. So that was literally keep that term to it, but obviously it sticked around, but it gone really, really fast. So we only saw it about 4 or 5 years, and then it was a massive peak, and then it came really down.
Okay.
The idea is you use science. In the main idea is you're using science to understand what the hell are you doing. So to understand this to the most layman term or version is it, let's take an egg, because everybody knows what's an egg, and cook an egg to the way you would like to have it. From the term, it is raw, it's going to be runny, it's going to be fully cooked, and then it's really hard boiled, that is overcooked and turns grayish in it, because the science changed the game. It is all based on temperatures, knowledge, and the way you do certain things with it. Obviously, there was a certain period of time when you saw a lot of chefs working with a lot of powders and everything, because it's easier to put things into a powder, like gelatin. I'm pretty sure you use gelatin to make it, but there's gelatin as an aspic kind of version of it, kind of things, like you have to hydrate it and then you can use it.
All right.
Or is in a powder version, for example. So there's a lot of different versions of gelling agents. So certain things that are very, very common in Asia was agar-agar. That was not so common in Europe by that time. And then there's a lot from Iota, Gelan, whatever. It's all seaweed related in general, seed related, corn related, tapioca related. It's all byproducts. And chefs became very interested how to use it. Where my personal view on that one is that we are still far behind, or we're still catching up with the modern day of a supermarket. A supermarket for me is more scientific than anything else, because they make food that is long lasting, make it colorful even after months of freezing it, kind of thing it is, and adding certain things. Even, let's not make too much of commercials on whatever brand, but I'm pretty sure you had any kind of chocolate bars in your life, whatever you're going to call them, from Snickers, Mars, Twix, whatever kind of thing it is. If you would ever read exactly what's inside it, there's certain byproducts you will ask yourself, why does it need next to sugar and chocolate, and sugar becomes caramel, whatever it is, certain other things. I mean, or there's peanuts inside, you will still understand the peanuts, but you will ask and say, where does it need something like lecithin? Why does it needs to be something that is carob gum or something like that? You know what I mean? Funny names. I mean, when we look at, it's almost like it's all E numbers kind of thing. And some they're not even need to be something. Why does it need to be used? It's pretty interesting that supermarket chains, or literally big companies, had that knowledge long time ago already. They had scientists in their own facilities. So actually the scientists were looking at it and it's like, oh, we can make a potato chip so much better by changing A to B, and that was scientifically done. So I think chefs realized after a while what they can do, we can do, but we do it in a better way and in a more sustainable way of it. And I mean, so we're not trying to add sugar to anything, whatever you think of, you make it last longer.
Okay.
It's very straightforward. Add sugar to whatever you think it is, you can give it a shelf life extension for months. But it's pretty impressive, you know what I mean? And sugar is pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's true.
Obviously, you can find afterwards, you realize, I want to make more money, take away the sugar and find something cheaper than that.
Okay.
But that's something what is scientifically needs to be taken care of, proven. So I think when it comes to molecular cuisine, the most molecular thing you're going to do is put a pot on a stove with water and bring it to a boil. Because there's where the molecules go crazy when you start boiling, for example. So it's gone already. We still keep certain things in mindset, even in professional kitchens. But I think supermarkets are the ones that you have to really look into it. They're very impressive kind of thing it is sometimes.
All the preserved food. So, I mean, just to break it down, so basically molecular gastronomy is where you introduce science to cooking as well.
In straight, that would, if you could scrape everything that I just said, and I mean, that would give you the first kind of idea of it. Put the scientist of you into whatever you think it is, and trying to figure out why do I need to cook a steak at a certain temperature to retain the moisture, the texture, and exactly the doneness to it, where you can do scientifically nowadays, where 20 years ago everybody said put a steak left, right on a grill, put an oven at 180 for 6 minutes, take it out, give it a rest, and then serve it. I can give you the same thing, you know what I mean? I say it might turn out pretty well, but how do we know how thick that thing is no matter what? Nowadays with probes and everything you have, it's more scientifically driven.
So it's that now versus how our moms used to cook before.
Correct.
This much salt.
It's not, don't you know what I mean, don't the feeling, whatever it is, use the knowledge, the science to it. And if you look, molecular cuisine, by the way we thought it, whatever it is, has literally disappeared. But the knowledge is still there. And that's the interesting thing. So we don't really know yet. Okay, the newest trend after that was the Scandinavian kind of wildlife, whatever kind of trend, and there's some other things coming. But I think the interesting thing about molecular was people start using their brain, you know what I mean, and talk to other people and talk to a scientist, tell me why is it like that? And the science tells you why it is like that. There's a reason for it. Everything has a reason and an answer.
If you look at science, yes, there is a reason to everything.
It is. I'm not saying it's better, tastier, no matter what. I'm just telling you they will give you a fact and answer. And then it's like, follow it or don't follow it. And obviously there's certain appliances you don't even need in your whole life. You know what I mean? There were foams and bubbles and whatever kind of thing on a plate, that kind of thing. There's where you have to, do you need, do you don't need? But I think it's... human being gets a bit more smarter nowadays. And I mean, there's more knowledge out there. That kind of thing. Technology will change it.
A lot of advancements. All right. I have one question that I actually missed out early on. Bring up, which is, as a chef, through your career, there must have been mentors, idols you looked up to. Probably, to name them out there, Gordon Ramsay, Anthony Bourdain. I mean. Was there any mentor, any idol that you looked up? I mean, like for me, the boxer, they have my idols over there,
No, of course.
Tyson, Floyd Patterson. So, who were your idols or mentors throughout your journey as a chef?
Well, the thing is that I don't call them idols. Certain people, I call them mentors, whatever. It's like certain things you're looking up to. You know what I mean? Bourdain is amazing. I love the book, the first one I read, and kind of thing. There's a great personality. That's really great. But if it comes down to one person, I would always say the same thing in an interview. It's my dad, myself. You know what I mean? The thing is, my dad was the first guy who told me, like, look, I'm sick and tired of cooking for you. You're watching me the whole time, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Can't you get A and B together, you know, kind of thing it is. And by A and B we say he pre-cooked pasta already, you know, kind of thing it is. And then there was a tomato sauce, make it hot. And the next time I say, okay, now you have to cook the pasta because I didn't cook it for you. So you cook the pasta, you learn how to cook a pasta, and the tomato sauce is still there. And then afterwards there was no tomato sauce anymore. And I'm like, now start from scratch. So he was always like that kind of things. And it was like, he was a chef for his whole life, you know what I mean, kind of thing it is, and did the tough way as well. Retired, and touch wood for him, you know what I mean, since 2 years, so he got the nice life now a little bit, so enjoys a bit. But never seen somebody hardworking like him, and always had a very, very good word to it. And obviously there's a few chefs that I always looked up, and I was like, oh, amazing. And I mean, it's like, obviously Heston was a guy that you like, you know what I mean, they were more easy to engage with because they've been on TV. I'm pretty sure, like, if we would ask who are the two most famous chefs in the world right now, you know what I mean, and most people would answer Gordon Ramsay, you know what I mean, and maybe Jamie Oliver or something like that, because they're just so present. Anthony did a really good job as well, but if you're not on TV, it doesn't mean you're not a great chef, you know what I mean, kind of thing. They have the personality to being filmed, being there, and having their own.
So the people just have the personality.
They have the personality,
but doesn't mean they're not a good chef.
No, definitely not. You know what I mean? So the same thing. You would never put my father on TV. He wouldn't like the idea, even in the first place. You know what I mean? But he will teach you how to cook. He will tell you what's right or wrong, and that kind of thing, and try to be that kind of mentor for me, because he was my father, that kind of thing. So I will tell him as the only hero kind of thing it is. Obviously, there was always chefs every year. There comes new books out. There's new kind of thing. And say, "Well, I like that. I like what he does. I might not like what he does." Kind of thing it is, and that's kind of thing it is. But they change constantly. It's like music. You know what I mean? So I have. You either love music or you hate music. I love music ridiculously. So I'm still collecting vinyls and everything. You know what I mean? So I love that one.
Okay.
So for me, it's like, you grow up with certain music and they change a little bit, kind of thing it is, and then you find your way what you like, but you still have to keep open-minded because the artists are changing, you know what I mean? They change, they're gonna come up and it's like, well, I like the old stuff a bit more and the new stuff, but you might didn't understand the new stuff, you know what I mean, kind of thing it is. So I think music is the highest level of trying to understand anything about that's art related, where I would say cooking is no art, cooking is a skill, so you can learn it. Music, I don't think you can. You might can learn, you know what I mean, kind of thing is, but you cannot be a true artist. You either are one, or it's a very tricky one to get into.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there is.
Like that's an argument we could talk about. I mean, kind of thing, because some came in later.
But certain things you have, it gets to feeling.
Yeah, kind of thing it is. So if you hit the tones wrong, no matter what, and it takes you endless to get there. A 16-year-old man comes by that has that kind of thing to it and is like tin and makes it, and I'm like, he's the true artist. He is an artist. He's by nature one, you know what I mean? He understands how music flows, and that's it. And I think with cooking is the same thing. Cooking is not art. Cooking is a skill. You can make it artistic. Let's call it that way, because some people are. But it's a skill. I can teach everybody the same thing, no matter what. But does not mean you're good in it. Because I can give you the same recipe. We both cook the same recipe, but I've cooked it maybe 1,000 times, and you maybe cook it once, whatever it is. Or you go home and you try to perfecting it. You still have a different palate. Because your palate, and you open your own restaurant, you're like, there's something missing in it. Maybe a bit of more pinch of salt, a bit more lemon, a bit more acidity, no matter what it is, and you change it. And because your palate is like that, other people say that is so much better, and you know what I mean.
It's true. All right, I get you on that.
How could you? There's nothing that can be so talked about nowadays. Like food is crazy about it, kind of thing is, and everybody believes he's allowed to give a comment to it, or he's a, as you say, everybody's the chef, that kind of thing.
Everyone's entitled these days.
Entitled to everything, more or less. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I give it a right talk about. I don't need to take the shit if I think it's wrong, kind of thing is, but I also don't need to go online and tell you I don't think you're right or wrong, you know what I mean? I let you comment, but don't take it as an offense if I don't reply or if I reply, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
You don't have to reply them.
I don't have it, kind of thing, that's fine. I mean, I like the way that I put it out. You think it was not good, totally right. I give you 100%. You don't need to like it, you don't even need to like me, you know what I mean, kind of thing. It just doesn't matter. So you didn't like it's fine, but don't think I get upset by that one, because I'm over that one already, and I mean, so you have to hit me really, really hard. It's like when you go boxing, and I mean, kind of things. If you didn't see that one particular jab that you might missed or whatever it is, and he knocks you out, you will be pissed. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I would be the same if you take something that I would be really angry because you might target somebody else around me or my staff, whatever it is, because you think it's just entirely wrong what we're doing. I did not ask you to come in the first place. You know what I mean?
sure.
I was hoping you're going to come, and I hope that I can succeed to convince you like the food and the environment. But it's not for everybody the same. But
Understood.
not everybody likes Big Macs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I like Big Macs, you know, but well,
Same on that one actually.
hey, shit, perfect. And you know, to have reached to your stature, your level, you know, there must have this force that drives you to keep going, doing what you do. So I mean, what is that thing that gets you out of bed every morning and boom, let's do this again?
That's a tough one. I think that really depends a bit. In general, kind of thing is you would never want to give up. I think that's the number one goal, like that kind of thing it is. And then the rest is like, I think once you find the right people to work with, you know what I mean, when you realize it's not all about you anymore, that kind of thing it is. Obviously nowadays I have a family and everything, so I have to get out because I want to be the support to the family, one thing. But you know, when I come to work, it's not for me. I go to work. It's not. Like I can come in here, out, whatever I want. You know what I mean? Nobody will stop me, kind of thing. It is where till the point that somebody call me, oh, they need help or something like that. But I like to come here because I like the people I'm working with. So me going to work means I want to protect that what I'm having right now. I think that's something that gets me out. For me, for them, and make sure that we're on the right path. And now it is a bit more sport. I'm getting fat, you know what I mean? That's my problem, kind of thing it is. But I have been quite fat for a while. So the thing is, I had to get myself out, but you have to find some other people that gets you out of bed as well, you know what I mean? So don't ever think you should not ask for help, whatever it is. So I texted you before we had the interview, and I texted him, it's like I'm late because I'm on my bicycle. I need another guy sometimes that always like, let's meet at 10, you know, the bicycle say, no, I'm ready already, you know, get moving. I'm like, it's a bit of like a coach sometimes, you know what I mean? And the good thing is if it works vice versa, that kind of thing it is. So you need a bit of help to do certain things, but once you're in it, you know what I mean, kind of thing it is. And I think for me, it's the next period is like I want to start something new, kind of thing it is. I do this quite for a bit now with this restaurant. So I do think of, okay, let's see where the next kind of thing it goes. But I think the only reason why I'm thinking that way is because I'm so confident with the team I'm working with that they give me the ability to open up something new or do something new. Because if I wouldn't have them and there would be drama and troubles, whatever it is, I would be like, oh no, cannot, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get out of my place believing, and that took quite a while, that my mindset is trying to, like, telling me I'm not needed. You know what I mean? Nobody's literally needed. That's the main idea of it. You know what I mean? Kind of things. It needs the team. Yeah. But just because one falls down and he's not around,
they should be able to still
the show has to go on always. Always. So the main thing, and obviously my mindset in the beginning was always I'm the one that's inexpensible. I'm like, I must be here. I must run the show. I need to entertain the people. And I do understand that some people are really, oh, he's not here, that kind of thing. They were expecting me to be here, so I had to chit-chat with them, talk to them, but that kind of thing it is. But then, that cannot be. You cannot expect me to be here 365 days, minus of those off days we have. That kind of thing is not possible. So I'm happy that the people behind me make that step up, and it's like, look, he's not here. They do the show, they talk to the people, you know what I mean? And that's the only way it should work. I mean, because everybody is expensible. You know, I mean, you have to move on. That kind of thing it is.
And you know, I was gonna ask this question earlier, but since we're already touching on this topic, you know, I was gonna ask you, you know, what's next? What do you see yourself in 5 years? Where is Chef Stephan looking to in the next 5 years? I mean, you're already saying that the place is running here, very nice. You know, you're looking for something else. So, what better timing than to bring out this question now? You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Like I'm turning 40 this year, and I think we touched before a little bit. You know, what I mean, between a chef is like from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30. That's where you start learning. From 30 to 40, you have the experience, and then from 40 to 50 is something you have to settle down with exactly what you want to do. don't compromise too much anymore. Don't. Sounds a bit weird to say just don't do it just for money or whatever kind of thing it is. And I mean, you have to wake up in the morning and you need to be happy. So I think for me, 40 to 50 is something. Build something on top what is there. Like my mindset is something like build a new company where you have 2 or 3, 4, 5 different concepts. Always build under this umbrella. But the thing is, I wouldn't be afraid to go into fast food. I'm not afraid to open up an all-day dining, whatever it is. And I mean, it doesn't matter what it would be. You should tell me I'm not going to go cleanly and say I open an Italian place, open a Spanish, because that's not me. I'm an Austrian. I could open an Austrian place. I could do that. But I never thought much of fast food previously. I'm thinking more and more about it, that kind of thing it is. But I want to do it right. The main thing is and there's one of the most, and there's such a most simplest things to talk about, and there's a chef who is Swiss, opened a restaurant in New York, it's 11 Madison Park, was voted 2 years ago the best restaurant in the world, and very beautiful restaurants, very, very big inspiration, very good, great dude. And he made something very, very simple, what I thought, and that goes going through whole social media, and he made a very simple picture of a photo frame that he made in a restaurant, and the frame and the lyric, the 2 words was just make it nice. Just make it nice. And that made him so big. I mean, even his company is now called the Make It Nice, whatever kind of thing it is. So they made it. But the main thing is, I think whatever you can do it better. So even we talk about, obviously I would not want to target McDonald's. Whatever McDonald's does or something like that, globally seen as ridiculously impressive. You know what I mean? It's just a question, is it the right thing I would say I want to sell? No. I would rather have better quality of no matter what the product's going to be. And I mean, so you can be proud and the quality that helps. But fast food doesn't mean it is always a burger. It can be a lot of things. So you can just do a lot of things nowadays with better ways, doing it differently, and make it nice. Right, kind of thing it is. Make people happy with food. Nice. I mean, that kind of thing it is. So yeah, I think for the next 10 years and then retirement at 55, it works out for me.
All right. I like that.
Then move on to music maybe.
Yes.
Who knows?
Sounds good. All right. Talking about music, moving on to the next song. It's by the Singaporean female fronted band Casey with a fucking nice hard-hitting track entitled Never Tell a Lie. Peace. That was Casey with Never Tell a Lie. Fucking awesome shit. Check them out. And you can see we got our headphones on, which only means give my man Jeevan a call. We are kicking in ass Jeeves, so try not to cringe too much on his jokes. But you know, he's a good man. He's got funny jokes every now and then, you know. He's
Hello?
Jeevan, my man.
Hello?
Hey. Oh, I can hear the background, you lucky motherfuckers and shit. Hello?
Hey bro, can you hear me or not?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Shit, can I hear? No.
Hello, Daryl.
Yeah, can you hear me now? He cannot hear me. Fuck, he put down the phone. I'll call him again. I have no idea why he can't hear me.
Hello?
Can you hear me or not?
Hey? Hey bro, can you hear me or not?
Yeah, I can hear you. Weird, why can't he hear me?
Hello?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm with Chef Stephan right now, so you know, Jeevan, what you got for us today, man? And he can't hear us again. See that? I know, right? What is going on? Probably have to edit.
Hello?
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think got cut off earlier on, I don't know why.
Okay.
But yeah, so kick it in, Jeevan. I'm with Chef Stephan right now. Let's go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you.
Alright man, so shit, so I thought since you got a chef on the show, I thought a couple of food jokes would come your way would be perfect.
I know, right? Let's do this.
Alright, tell me about it. Alright, so what is the difference between a lentil and a chickpea?
What is between? Have you heard this one, Chef?
No.
All right. What is it?
No. Well, it doesn't cost $200 to have a lentil on your face.
Wow, $200. Really? Where do you come out with this one?
This one, a friend of a friend, I guess.
Friend, wow, Jeevan. Shit.
Alright,
What's the next?
alright. Okay, so what is the difference between a knife and a lady that's arguing with you?
Holy shit. A knife and a lady arguing with you.
Both deadly, I guess.
Alright. Well, at least the knife has a point.
Oh shit.
This is all of my attached men
yeah.
out there. You can use this one.
Oh shit. This
Okay,
you heard
cool,
him cringing as well. Alright, what's the next?
Alright, so where do vegetables go to hang out? Or at least have a drink?
Where the vegetables go to hang out and have a drink? Nah.
Underground.
Dude, at the salad bar.
Hey.
Okay.
That was good.
That was good.
Salad bar. Okay.
Okay. Alright, okay, so why does KFC have no toilet paper?
Why does KFC have no toilet? Really? Okay, I will not take it at face value. But why do they not have toilet paper?
Dude, cause it's finger licking good, bro.
Holy shit! Wow.
Talk about a shitty joke, am I right?
You're full of shit. I mean, literally, but then wow.
I mean, when you KFC, I guess not lah, but still. Alright. Okay, one more for the road, okay?
Let's do this one more.
What do hookers and peanut butter have in common?
I think I might have heard this one. What do hookers and peanut butter have in common?
Ooh, maybe.
Anything, Chef?
No.
No? What do they have in common?
Stumbling.
Well, they both spread for bread.
Okay.
Okay, I like that one. Shit. Hey, Jeef, thanks so much. You know, you're doing your thing. We love you.
Definitely. Hey man, I hope you get to the bottom of that Shake Shack and Five Guys argument,
Oh,
bro.
we are gonna get to it.
I demand an answer from that argument.
Shit, hell yeah, we'll get to it. Thanks, Jeevan.
Alright, no worries, man.
Love you, bro.
Take care,
Bye.
bro.
Cheers, man.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, that was Jeevan. We can take this out. Bam. So wow, the finger licking good. Shit, bro. Holy shit.
That was a tough one.
Well, so as someone who's customer industry, service provider, there is this quote: "Customer is always right." What do you think about that? What's your take on that? The customer is always right.
I give you a 99.9% is correct on it. Honestly, the customer still stay king, and I mean, kind of thing is no matter what. But obviously, you customer can take it above the roof, and I mean, kind of thing it is. So you don't need. Obviously, we had the incidents, and I mean, I could talk out no matter what, and I mean, kind of thing it is. But I had a lady that complained badly online here that our toilet was not 5-star enough. But the thing is, we have 2 cubicles, we have a nice soap down there, actually pretty expensive soaps. It's pretty nice actually, if you check it out. I have a lot of people that ask me, can we take photo together in the toilet, because it's pretty unusual.
Alright.
But the thing it is, the lady was expecting to have a toilet like in a 5-star hotel where everything is gold plated no matter what, you know what I mean? So obviously, was she right? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Kind of thing is, do I need to apologize online? No, I don't think so. I mean, I can just keep it as a statement there, or say, sorry, we did not come up to the expectation you had in mind. But obviously I'm not going to change my whole toilet right now just because one person told me it's not going to be 5-star grand. Exactly. Even I would be like, you guys all go to the mall, you know what I mean? And the mall is no toilet and we share it with a mall toilet, that kind of thing. There's nobody complains about that one, what I think is weird. But that's it. So in general, yeah, obviously customer is right because he does pay, you know what I mean? It's the same thing in all industries, and it's not just, you know what I mean, if I want a car in red, I want it in red, I don't want it to take it in blue, you know what I mean? I'm gonna pay for that. But with social media nowadays, I don't have to take crap either, you know what I mean? So you give me a viable and proper reason for whatever it is, I will try to help on that one, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
I get you on that. Some people are just unreasonable. They just
like you cannot.
I hate this.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, as I say, you know, some people have the wrong. You're done with the wrong person, you know. I mean, kind of thing. It is you didn't have the kind of expectation that day you wanted, no matter what. I have seen people running out of here crying, and I have people slapping each other, kind of thing. It is in a small place because things went wrong on the table, you know what I mean, kind of things. But obviously, I cannot. That was not either our mistake. Things just went wrong. It was the wrong. Yeah, correct. You know, it was between them. You know what I mean? That kind of thing is. Yeah, we have seen a few things. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting thing you can see over a period of years, but. As I say, personalities, and I mean, if you don't have the right company, you know what I mean, things can go sour, and then they might think they need to open up the vent and let it against us, you know what I mean, no matter what. And I'm pretty sure for us it's still okay, it's not that massive, you know. I think it is more fast-paced the place is, you know what I mean, as bigger the place is, they have to take a lot of things, you know what I mean, but yeah. There's no point if somebody starts a fight. It's no hate against hate, you know what I mean? Hate only will die with love, you know what I mean? As stupid as it sounds, always the same.
I love that
And you have to be nice to some people, you know what I mean? Till they think they can take the shit out of you, and then you just have to punch back, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
I like that mentality. Perfect. Alright, and we'll just kick into another song right now. Punk rock from Canada with our friends from Clipwing, with the title What I'm With Isn't. So give these guys a check out. Peace.
Take when your day-to-day is wearing thin, stuck in a rut with nothing left to lose. These are mistakes you make when the sky above is caving in. Stop giving it up, there's nothing left to prove. Time spent on growing up is gone. The trick is getting old but still feeling young. You won't stop it, no, you won't stop it, no, you won't stop it coming. A rising dead in a dead end job. The reason's getting lost and by
Clipwing, what I'm with, isn't it? Chill out to that shit, guys. So, Chef, we're almost done over here. A few more questions, and your sample menu is nothing short of delicious. And I want you to elaborate more, if you can, on your thought process, your planning that goes into creating the menu. Like what goes through your mind when you're sitting there and thinking, yeah, let's do this.
Let's start off with a quick one because not everybody knows about the place. So the idea here is very straightforward. We are at Chef's Table. We are Western Omakase. Even coming up with the word of Western Omakase took me almost 2 years, as terrible it could be, because it was like a degustation dinner, because it would be the French word of what we're doing here, but nobody really knows the word. So Omakase, most likely people always know what it means. In this case, put the word Western in front, people get the proper idea. So it's literally giving the chefs the full chance to do whatever we want to, and we're going to cook Western food. On the other side, it's all product driven. So whenever you're going to sit down here, we're going to give you a list of 28 ingredients. Then you have the option between 4, 6 and 8 courses. That's our main idea of it. And out of the ingredients, you tell me what you don't like, because not everybody likes everything. But obviously you can point out and say, oh, I love that one, I love beef, whatever, this kind of things. We obviously take this in consideration. But the idea is, I'm trying to just eliminate what you don't like, because I will still try to surprise you with a dish. So on top of that, no repetition, no signature dishes. So the thing is, whenever you come, I'm not allowed, by its own definition here of the idea, to serve you the same dish again. So it means whenever you come, I have to change the menu.
It's always a new experience.
Always new experience. Obviously on the other side is, obviously we run in the kitchen, we're gonna create a dish, no matter what it is. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we get pretty bored of this dish. And and most likely it's always 2 weeks. We're gonna change the dishes. During the week is the same thing. Once an ingredient runs out, you need to come up with another ingredient. Easiest one to explain would be a fish. We get a whole piece of halibut, for example. That thing has 8 kgs. Am I gonna last us for 2-3 days? The halibut is gone. We're not gonna get enough for the rest of the week. We're gonna exchange the dish, or am I gonna change the fish, or play around with it? What goes on the menu is total random things. So it can be, I'm not the only one who creates dishes here. I don't want to, because I want to keep everybody on the spot a little bit, so they should do some things as well. But they just follow the kind of idea of portion size, what's going to be. So we start mainly with proteins like fishes, then we're going to go into meats, and then we're going to finish with sweets. And creating dishes is something that, as I say, it can be anything. You know what I mean? Literally, whatever. If I go home and I listen to the right song, and that song gets me in the right mood of thinking of a certain product, I think because it's so product driven here, the product gets you to the end. We're trying to be quite as uncomplicated as possible. So there's a main hero of an ingredient. Let's call it the halibut, the fish itself. And then what does the halibut like? It's pretty lean, doesn't have much fat. So putting down, even if you put a mashed potato down there, which has certain butter inside and has a creaminess to it, you might need to find a bit of salty elements, what could be caviar or capers, adding a bit of freshness to it, like certain herbs like chives, parsley. And then the last thing you miss is a crispy texture, that kind of thing it is. So it's always this mindset of something like texture-wise when you put something in your mouth. And I think texture is very, very important in Asian cuisine, more than in European or like Western. So the thing is, if you cook the fish right and you put something with it what is velvety or creamy, and then you put something that's crunchy, what activates literally that, when you eat something and it crunches, that's why why French fries and potato chips are so popular in terms of you crunch, you hear your own kind of ears, kind of thing. So that's why they're really that popular. And then you add something that is that umami flavor, what could be salt, capers, that could be certain seaweeds, no matter what, that will drive a dish. And obviously you're trying to not have the same elements per dish, so it can go ups and downs. So it needs to be a bit of hero dishes, it needs to be a little bit more sato and then go back up there. Maybe some dishes play with acidity, the other one play with sweetness, that kind of thing. So it's totally open-minded. There's no rules anymore in that small little kitchen in here. So do what you want to do, but the end result has to be tasty.
So I mean, I like it. So it's good that you don't have any more or less like I have to do this, I have to do this. This dish has to be like
You
this
don't.
because it's all so called on the fly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as long as you meet these main requirements, you got to taste good,
Yeah.
and then you try and give people a very good experience.
If it doesn't taste us, you know what I mean, there's no point putting on a plate. Let's take for something like, I've never thought that we're going to cook in this, was already like 6 years here now. I never thought that we're going to do lobster rolls. But we got some very nice lobsters a couple of weeks ago, and then we was like, oh, you know, what should we do? What do we do with lobster? We can do certain things, but I'm like, the whole menu was lacking a little bit of carbs. There's no carb in the whole menu, I thought, like, except the dessert has a bit of chocolate in it with sugars, you know what I mean, and there's some texture like kind of cookies. But then it's like, why don't we just make a lobster roll if we think it could be
lobster
nice, you know what I
roll,
mean? So we cooked the lobster on one side, now we have a brioche bun where you put the lobster in it, the kind of thing is, and then you're like, it's not going to be good enough, so where's the texture coming from? Where gets this crunchy thing, you know what I mean? And then we thought, why not lotus root? It's more Asian. You fry them, so you get very thinly crunchy texture to it, put a bit of coriander on top, and then we're like, okay, that's good. We need a bit of a kicker. And I mean, something that is like, oh, what makes it different? What would be this thing it is? So we say, let's stay in Asia because we have coriander already on top and lotus root and the way we cook that lobster stock down, we say coconut is the last element. But we're going to cook the coconut and infuse it with some Thai fragrances. So we used coriander, we used some kaffir lime leaves, we used some lemongrass with the coconut, make it very, very fragrant. And then the coconut is just on the bottom. So when you go through it, you always have this brioche bun that is very nice, nicely seared on both sides. It's buttery. Then you have the lobster, was very tasty. You get that crunchy texture from the lotus root, very fresh coriander in it. But it doesn't get boring because this coconut on the bottom is like, oh, there's a bit of lemongrass, there's a little bit of coriander, there's a bit of chili in it, so there's a bit of spice to it as well. So I think it's just, whenever we're creating dishes, it's like, let's not make it too boring. And I mean, like certain dishes, as I said, it need ups and downs. Like not everybody needs to be full in your face. And I mean,
Yes, that is
it's
true.
like when you punch someone, kind of thing.
You don't go full power all the way.
All the way. But the thing is, we're looking between 4, 6, and 8 courses. And if somebody is 8, you know what I mean, you cannot constantly pam into your face.
To
You
be
know what I mean,
here,
it needs to be,
that one, and then
it's like I think you cut down, and sometimes you showcase a little bit more the method of the way you cooked it. And then the next one is coming around the corner and it's like in your face, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just pure flavor.
Oh, well, I, for one, definitely you are going to see me here. I definitely
try
want to
with
try
that.
that. I mean, this whole thing you just explained to me,
Right.
I could actually visualize having a trip and experience over here. It takes you from one, it brings you to the highs, kicks you in the face and shit. So I, for one, want to experience this. So, you know,
Come by.
description is all, info's all in the description, Chef's Table. You know, you guys, if you've not checked it out, this is one place where you want to check out. You know, it's always a different experience, and, you know, it's the variety and spice of life. So, what we got over here. And, you know, we're coming to my favorite question, and the best part, Chef Stephan being a chef, obviously, it's, if you could be a dish, what would it be and why?
That's going to be a tough one.
Shit.
But if a different question, if you would ask me what's my favorite dish, you know what I mean? That's really hard to answer. But what I am as a dish, I'm pretty easy going, you know what I mean? That kind of thing it is. I give a really weird answer. I mean, I'm not even sure why I would even think about
Let's
that.
do this.
That's almost a bit weird. I would call it a creme brulee.
Creme
You know,
brulee.
like creme brulee.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it's all
don't
burnt,
know.
crispy,
Yeah, kind of
and
things.
then
But the main thing is like, you know, I mean, if you don't know me, most people wouldn't like me. Sometimes like that, I mean. And then I have a bit of a crust on top of it, and I mean, and I'm pretty friendly to most people I don't know. But if you want to get to know me, you need to crack to that crust, that kind of thing it is. And I mean, and then obviously if you get to know me, I'm pretty sweet, so I'm a pretty nice guy, and I mean, so I don't screw up. Maybe a creme brulee is not that a bad answer. It's a weird answer. I thought rather something very powerful or whatever it is, but actually, and I mean,
creme
I'm
brulee
not,
is powerful, man.
I'm not sure why I got there first, but maybe because I had one yesterday.
But hey, it's a good analogy though. Alright, so Chef Stephan could be a dish, he'd be a creme brulee. You know, you need to be able to crack through that crust to get to the sweet
Yeah,
the sweet
the
part
sweet
of
spot.
Chef Stephan. Alright. You know, last two more questions, and my favorite questions. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know, whenever I talk about Shake Shack, I'm just saying. Shake Shack or Five Guys in your professional opinion?
I might should have watched your show before when you asked that question to more people, because you might have an opinion on that one, that kind of thing it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's possible.
As mentioned, I actually, Shake Shack I have eaten my life twice, both in Singapore. That's it. And I'm not sure how good the original is. That might be a
I heard
question
the
mark.
original is good. To give them
It's
credit, original is good.
It's like the difference between Din Tai Fung that I love. I love Din Tai Fung, one of my favorite ones. I mean, especially given the size they're doing and so many outlets. And I did the Din Tai Fung original back in Taipei. What is like, holy, this is so much better because the menu is bigger. So I'm not sure about burger. I've never eaten Five Guys. I think I've never eaten Five Guys. But I've given that kind of things, everybody tells me Five Guys is so good, but I'm not hunting for burgers, to be honestly. I mean, there's another 2-3 places that just popped up currently, and I tried other ones, and I'm like, it's like me, burgers and steaks is nothing that gets me out into a restaurant. It's a very tricky one to answer.
All right.
Simple way is like, if I want to cook a steak, and I know I love steakhouse, like I like steakhouse, I love kind of things, there's good places to go, but there's a certain state that I want to pay for steak, especially being a chef. I know how to get the beef myself and then cook it myself. So the thing is, if I get a high-end steak and it's overpriced and it's not going to be good, I'm going to be disappointed. I think it's the same thing with a burger. So the thing is, if we take the simplest of all, and I think McDonald's is the one that everybody knows, there's a quarter pounder, not the quarter pounder, there's this very Angus beef burger they made, like a signature, whatever they made,
the
kind of thing.
Angus beef
Their Angus beef. That hooked me on for quite a while, because based on that one, I was like, it's cheap. Like, it's a cheap burger. I'm pretty sure if I compare it with the other two brands, it might be cheaper, you know what I mean? That's just where the basic starts for me. When I'm like, okay, that's where we can start. And, you know, I like when the bread is not too big. You just need to squeeze and eat it, kind of thing. But I don't wake up and need a burger. I don't need kind of thing it is.
So what was your experience in the Shake Shack you tried over here?
One of the things, I went up there once, collected a lot of food, bring back here for family meal here. That was once. And the other one was early. Where's the other outlet? There's one here around in Keon Sai, that's where I picked up the food.
The one.
Then you have one in I went once to Changi.
Jewel, yeah, there's one.
The Jewel one, but it was very long. When I saw the queue, I was like, no way I'm gonna queue for a burger. It's not gonna happen. Last thing I'm gonna do is queuing. It's not gonna happen. So I went there once. There was one, I think it was that outlet. There's another outlet somewhere, no? They have another one now.
This one is Suntec. So I think this one is Suntec, this one is
Suntec is the
Gyeongja.
latest one, or not then it has to be the one at Jewel. I think I remember it. It was okay. It didn't get me back. I'm not so, okay, it's a burger. It's a burger. I would have gone to McDonald's.
Alright, so
Kind of.
So I won't get the verdict, but sooner or later I do find out that Chef has actually tried Five Guys. Maybe I'll do a short little Zoom.
Let's go to Five Guys once together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, kind of thing. We try that
Sure,
one.
let's
I
do
think I
that.
haven't
Fuck
done
yes,
it.
fuck yes. I will be more than happy to do that. And ending of the show, any relationship advice for people out there? I mean, you are a happily married man, wife, kids. You cook for them. They better be on the table in less than 15 minutes. If not, angry man over here. But still, what relationship advice have you got for people out there?
Worst question to the end, isn't it? That kind of thing. It is a tough one. Well, the thing is, relationship advice from me: don't lie. Every lie will come up. Every lie will come up one day. You know what I mean, kind of thing. Somehow you screw up and it comes out if you really want to.
Right.
If you don't lie, I think you're gonna get through it. And if you're not happy in a relationship, get out. I will not tell you have to stick. Like, I know, man, the older generation of my parents and everything I've seen, a lot of people stick together, whatever it is gonna be. You have one life. Do properly whatever you want with it. And I mean, not saying go out and hump whatever you need to next to it. That's not the point. If you're in a relationship, take it serious and don't lie. Lying doesn't help you get you anywhere. And I mean, it will come out for sure.
It'll come and bite you in the ass sooner or later.
It will bite you one day. And if you do so, live with that situation, live with that decision you made last time. You know what I mean? And don't cry around whatever it is. You live with your mistakes.
Okay.
Make a mistake, it's fine. Learn from it. Don't do it again. So if you don't make mistakes or you don't want, try not to lie. I think makes it the easiest one to go through it.
I think lying, people shouldn't do that. So, don't lie. Tell the truth, keep it real, keep it 100. And,
Be man enough in this case, or woman. I would
just
say.
fucking, and if you're not happy, get the fuck out. Simple as that. Truth over there, Chef Stephan, and it's been a fucking awesome session. An honor to meet you and
Thanks.
have this
Honor to
session
me.
with you.
Thanks for inviting.
And I'm gonna leave you guys with a song by Volky. The title of the song is called Patience, and big up. Thanks so much, Chef Stephan.
Thanks a lot.
And this is Daryl Edmund Oathbreaker Co. Keep it cool. You're on Wayvy Grayvy. I love you.
Peace out.
Peace.